Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
You are most welcome to PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best and latest updates in politics. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for more updates. Like and also share to other members to watch as well. You can also leave a comment after watching or send us a voice note on our WhatsApp number, which is 0277 128 777. Thank you.
We're told that the campaign team of Cynthia Morrison and had been attacked, so to speak, but we want to get some clarity based on what we've been able to establish, and that alleged attack will subsequently make sure we're able to get in touch with her and get really insight into what transpired to make sure that we're in a position to deal with what the real facts are. But we also have to tell you that we're in for some great discussions, and let me say good morning to a number of you who have joined us. We're grateful. Stella Nadine Swade, you're a speech therapist based in Accra, great friend. I wish you all the best for the day. For those who have joined us also on our stream, we're grateful. Make sure you share the stream. Let's have some great conversation. This morning, we want to deal with just a substantive issue. The finance minister is in the United States of America. You know, we have the Bretton Woods institutions having a meeting, and subsequently, the finance minister has been on a roadshow undertaking a lot of interactions. What he did say that seems to be, in my estimation, good news, is that apparently when we did the exchange program for our debts, we saved $12 billion. So that's good news for many people who want to think about it in that way. So we encourage you. Daniel Akpaliok, you've joined us, Money New Money. Also Laurentia and a couple of you, Nelson Akotia, you've joined us as well. Asari, Philip Miles, and also has joined us. Evans Ibn Samba, Patrick Kugbesika, good morning. And let me just introduce Kamaldeen Abdullahi. Good morning to you. Currently, is the Consular General for Ghana based in Saudi Arabia. How are you?
I'm good. It's been
good
a
to
while.
have you back, yes.
Yeah, good to be here.
Okay, mashallah. And then also, Edudzi Tamaklo, thank you for joining us, lawyer.
Good morning.
Okay.
And good morning to my colleagues.
All right. And then also, lawyer Pierre Dankwa is also here. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right.
Morning to my colleagues and to
Certainly.
the US here.
Now, we'll begin with the finance minister in New York, having some interactions.
Part of our arrangement with the IMF, we decided to restructure our debts to bring our debts to sustainable levels. We started with our domestic debt restructuring, and the sacrifices of our people ensured that we concluded that restructuring with about 95% or more participation. So it was greatly a success. We followed that with the restructuring of our bilateral debt with our bilateral creditors. That was also very successful in a negotiation between us and the Official Creditor Committee for Ghana. And this led to significant savings, debt service relief of about $2.8 billion US. And then following this is our restructuring of the Eurobonds. The Eurobonds, about $13 billion US. That was concluded in the first week of this month. Another great success because we saw over 98% participation in the debt exchange. The benefits we have derived from this so far includes an outright debt cancellation of about $5 billion and another debt service relief of about $4.3 billion. And so between the bilateral creditors and the Eurobonds, we are talking about savings of about $12 billion US. So we think this is a very great success. We are still having an outstanding restructuring with our commercial creditors involving about $2.7 billion. We are working very hard to conclude that. So far, I can say that we have been pretty successful at our restructuring. The participation has been great, and we see ourselves moving on the path to debt sustainability.
So on the path of sustainability, so we have to do a certain recall. What by 2022, even though when the warnings had been coming that we were heading into a ditch where the liabilities as far as what the debts are with our creditors. Because in total, we had an external debt, 58%, and as you can see, You take a look at it, 37.4 billion, and then subsequently you also have the domestic debt as well, being 42% of the debt in itself. Now, subsequently, we decided then to do a DDEP. Let's go to the next. So the DDEP meant that at the time, we had to do a restructuring of debt with a component of our creditors being insurance companies being just less 1% of the debt. Rural banks also being a component of 1.4%. Pension funds, includes NETs and its trustees as well, combined over 7% or just about 6.8%. The Bank of Ghana itself, 9%. Commercial banks, and we're talking about our banks, whether they're local or international, operating here, 33%. And then we had institutional investors in our bonds and our debt, so to speak, including even firms. And then individual bondholders, you do a combine of it, you have about 39%. Now, foreign investors also play a key role in buying a lot of government bonds. So they also are there. Then we came with the external. The Euro bonds formed about 13.1 billion. You take a look at all that we have. China, 1.7 billion. The Paris Club, 1.7. Other commercial entities. And so when you go into the money market, so it means that that's what it is, or the capital market. So 3.2 billion, and then subsequently multilateral, 8.1 billion. The finance minister says that we saved 12 billion. So yesterday I had some interaction with some few people who are in academia, and the question they posed is, if you save 12 billion, you shouldn't be owing people, at least locally. But how do we communicate that so that perhaps there's a better explanation? We'll have Dr. Ganiyu, who is a technical advisor to the finance minister, to just come and chip in. But in the meantime, Kamaldeen, great news in the circles of government, somebody will say, but for individual bondholders, institutional bondholders, we've had Joe Jackson, etc., questioning this sort of communication. It's as if to send a signal positively that everything is fine, while people are wailing, on the other hand, just because they bought government credits, and government cannot just pay them.
Well, thank you very much. And once again, very good morning to you. Good morning to my brother, Edudzi, and of course to Lawyer Pierre. Let me seize this opportunity to congratulate Ghana's Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Honorable Shirley Ayoko-Botwe. She is now the Secretary General of Commonwealth-elect, waiting to take office somewhere in April 2025. It was by dint of hard work, I guess, that she got there. We would have to congratulate her once it is the lifting of the flag of Ghana high for all of us, or to all of us. Again, I would say a very good morning to all viewers and listeners at large. Roland, yes, Ghana went through debt exchange program or debt restructuring program. Factors necessitated that. What are those factors? Yes, did we owe? Did we borrow? I agree, perfectly we borrowed. And did we borrow for infrastructure development and for the upkeep of our economy? Yes, so. We got to a level where lots of, occurrences came in to, if you like, present certain shocks to the economy or present some, challenges to the economy. And the major one, not just only Ghana, was COVID, which we all agree. every single economy in this world that saw a trajectory of growth with the emergence or coming into being of COVID saw the economy nosediving. Every single country in this world, not just Ghana. And you would agree with me that when I say factors brought us to the level where we needed to restructure our debts, okay, and mention borrowing, and mention the growth trajectory, you would also agree with me that indeed, these external shocks that I've spoken about, or I'm talking about, saw us not moving, not just Ghana, but many countries. And by that, we had to go back to look into ourselves and say, if this has happened and these are projections that we have made, this is the way we wanted to go and we could not achieve that, what do we have to do? We needed a solution. Which solution? And not just only Ghana again. Many countries will profess the solution of restructuring your debt to make them sustainable. And these are facts. That is the more reason why we needed to do an internal one and do an external one. Then we get our economy to see whether it will rebound or not. And Randy, Roland, you agree with me that yes, where we are today, if you look at the figures, I am not an economist and I don't pretend to be one. But of course, I read whatever is there and of course, I experience what is there as well. You would agree with me that by virtue of the fact that we have been able to restructure those debts, okay, and the finance minister, clearly made us understand that these were the benefits that we got from restructuring of the debts. When you go out there, some debts were even forgiven us to the tune of almost $5 billion, if you like, dollars, according to the finance minister. When you look at out there, some debt servicing reliefs have actually been given us. Now, if we were to pay maybe this amount at this time, by virtue of the fact that we have restructured and then agreed with the creditor, we say, okay, we are moving it from here to this. Therefore, some relief. As a result of the relief, we are getting some, if you like, benefits out of it. Some amount of money there, 4.3 or so billion. If you come home, we did our internal debt restructuring again, and some amount of money was actually, chucked again in terms of benefit. So putting all together, the finance minister said, look, it was essential, it was important that we go in for such a solution or such, program. Having gone into the program, the amount of money that we have realized, not as in cash given us as a country, but looking at the debt servicing relief, looking at the, the cancellation of debt, and looking at also the reprieve that we are going to have in terms of debt servicing, either locally or internally, putting all together or aggregating it together, some close to $12 billion, okay, it saved us. For us to be able to cushion ourselves and rebound as an economy. So indeed, if you look at our macroeconomy today, okay, everything points to the fact that indeed we have a future that looks good. To the extent that even looking at the GDP growth, projections will maybe higher in 2025 thereabout. All these actually are on. So it tells you that there are some technical hands on board, there's some work being done, and the debt exchange program, indeed, even though it came with some negatives, obviously, some bondholders had cause to, also all this picketing and all those things. A whole lot of problems came in. But nonetheless, if we had moved from a particular level and based on some reasons, we got ourselves into challenges and we decided to go into a solution, which solution was the restructuring, both internal and external, and the restructuring completely or successfully done. Based on this, the finance minister says, look, this is the outcome of what we have done. I think that we should be lauding the technical hands on board. We should be lauding whoever is the manager of the economy right now. Of course, if we had done this, finished this, and then the future still looked bleak, that would have been dangerous.
So you're
to the extent that inflation moved to 54% in this country before. Today, as we sit, the managers
moved to 54%.
Yes, at the point.
Because
yes.
What accounts for that inflation?
I told you the external shocks. I told you what happened to every single economy in this country.
So Kamaldeen,
yes.
Are you saying that Ghana going bankrupt, going to its creditors to restructure its debts, both domestically and externally, is a good thing?
I just told you that it wasn't for Ghana alone to say I am going for debt structuring. It was because the international economies that we have, the bigger economies, even
COVID,
UK,
Russia,
talk of UK, talk of US, talk of Australia,
COVID,
every
Russia,
single
Ukraine.
country that matters in this country, I mean in this world, okay, went through this. And I'm saying Ghana did not just assume to say that, look, we are going to, if you like, debt restructuring. Conditions necessitated that. That's the point I made. And I'm saying that based on those conditions, our economies were affected. And Ghana's economy wasn't left out. Okay? Why? 2017, we didn't talk of that. We never contemplated on even going to IMF. 2018, we never contemplated on that. 2019, no, we're moving. Until almighty COVID came in. And this is the fact people do not want to hear.
Which people do not want to hear?
Some, whatever, the naysayers. Whoever wants to say that, look, there is a reason why Ghana decided that, look, let us go for debt debt restructuring. And not just only Ghana, many countries did that. And I'm saying that because of these external shocks that affected our economy and affected other economies, we had no option than to say, hey, wait a minute, if we plan paying this money this time, because of XYZ, our economy actually has nosedive, and we cannot have money to do that. Let us go and engage our creditors and then see what we can do. So I thought that there was a reason why they did that.
Edudzi, it also means that the finance minister saying we saved 12 billion also means that should be good news for, he says, naysayers.
So, you see, when a country is given to you to govern, and out of unbridled corruption, reckless spending, among many, you drive the economy to its knees, into zero, to a point where the economy begins to register a debt to GDP ratio of 104. What you demonstrate is candor. What you demonstrate is responsibility and a certain level of remorse. But the people who are in charge of governance today, out of arrogance, share decision to gaslight the people. They'll look you in the face and tell you that they have saved us money.
Because they say Russia and COVID in Ukraine.
You have not saved us anything. What you have done is to impoverish our people. As we speak today, by reason solely of the domestic debt exchange program, pensioner bondholders, persons who bought government of Ghana bonds and security instruments, have lost 61 billion Ghana cedis. And you come here and tell me it's a savings. How is that a savings? What you need to ask yourself fundamentally is that before Akufo-Addo became president, before Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia became the chairman of the economic management team, has Ghanaian ever gone through a DDEP? That is the fundamental question. If you don't answer that question, you are being mischievous and dishonest.
External shocks.
He talks about external shocks. First of all, COVID-19. You know the problem. The 2020 election spending. For the first time since 1992, we had a budget deficit of 15%. Ask him, when was the last time that we had a budget deficit of 15% since 1992? That is where the problem is. Akufo-Addo desire, together with Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, to win the 2020 election at all costs, resulted in a budget deficit of 15%. That is what we are trying to recover from. They dug a deep hole, bottomless hole. And that from 2020, we've been struggling to fill that hole. That is what the problem is. And not COVID-19. I've heard NPP communicators say COVID-19. First of all, you claim that by reason of COVID-19, you had a budget, a revenue shortfall of 14 billion. Even let's say for the sake of argument, it's true. That same year, you had the IMF giving you $1 billion rapid credit facility. You went for another $1 billion the special drawing rights. The IMF, the World Bank alone gave you $600 million. South Korea gave you $83 million. Germany gave you so much money. You went to the Bank of Ghana and borrowed 10 billion Ghana cedis within COVID, within one election cycle. So even if COVID resulted in revenue shortfall of 14 billion, you net it against the money you made by reason only of COVID-19. You made over 21 billion Ghana cedis. So COVID was a gain. You were just irresponsible. You were just corrupt. You were just, in fact, they stole Ghana's money painfully.
How do you explain
I'll
that?
tell you this. You know, Akufo-Addo, when in 2020 decided to go to the IMF, the IMF demanded an audit of COVID funds. That COVID was not audit was not done by Domelevo. It was done by Akufo-Addo's appointed Auditor General, Mrs. Johnson something. Now that report says, and I want to reference it, it says that 500 million Ghana cedis of COVID money was spent outside GIFMIS. It's only a thief that will spend money outside GIFMIS. Do you know why? They want to avoid tracing. Because the GIFMIS system is a mechanism by the Finance Ministry itself, captured under the Ghana Public Financial Management Act. It is a mechanism to ensure transparency. It's a mechanism to catch the thief. So what Akufo-Addo Bawumia did in 2020 is to spend 500 million Ghana cedis out of GIFMIS, thieves. And they didn't want anybody to trace where the money went. Election spending. And you dare say what? COVID-19, Russia, Ukraine. Today, even Ukraine and Russia, where the bombs are dropping, they are doing better. You know what the problem was? Akufo-Addo brought his brother.
How does his brother become an issue here?
Akufo-Addo brought his brother as our finance minister. We thought they were coming to govern. We never knew they were into plunder. So, from 2017 to 2021, Eurobond alone, $11 billion. So once your finance minister was doing the Eurobond borrowing, he was making money for the Akufo-Addo family.
I don't understand. The explanation is that Data Bank has also been, if you take a look, a key bookmaker for Ghana.
At the time when Data Bank was there, Data Bank CEO or founder was not the one deciding the quantum of how much we borrow and commission to pay. Look at the LI, the Public Financial Management Regulation. It's the finance minister. So you have a situation where the finance minister was now deciding that I have to go and borrow $2 billion. And guess what? He was doing consistently $2 billion of Eurobond borrowing annually. In fact, in the year 2022, he wanted to go and do further Eurobond borrowing. Then the credit rating agencies downgraded us. That is what stopped us from doing that. But you see, the painful part, so that I can just
Please wrap up for me.
If you look at the data, and I have the data here. If you look at the data, allocation to the Office of Government Machinery, that is where the issues are. Look, in 2017, 1.5 billion was allocated to the Office of Government Machinery. 2018, 1.9 billion. 2019, now listen, from 1.9 billion in 2018 to 3.6 billion. Office of Government Machinery. 2020, 2.5 billion. 2021, 3.1 billion. This is where your money is going to. The Office of Government Machinery. Now, you know the painful part. Whilst Ghanaians are wallowing in pain, agony, while the hardship is beating everybody to rate, our president decided to have a lifestyle of, using luxurious private jets, paying $18,000 in some instances. Now, painfully, and I want to maybe conclude on this. You see, if you, Roland, you have money, will you do $58 million on a cathedral?
You are saying that there's been unprioritized expenditure.
Absolutely. $58 million in building a hole, in digging a hole, a useless hole for that matter. $2 million on Sky Trade. Where is the Sky Trade? Roland, as you speak, ask this man. He just came back from Saudi. Ask him, where is the Sky Trade that they spent $2 million on? $40 million on a so-called Ejapa deal that became a fiasco.
Please wrap up.
$2.5 million on Malta Angel. All this money, you think it belongs to Akufo. And this is a man, together with Bawumia, who preached that we are going to protect the public purse. Is that how to protect the public purse?
Well, Edudzi, going forward with what you've said, we will need some clarification.
I listen to
from Dr. Gani.
So that Dr. comes in. Oh, today we have 2 NPP reps.
No, it's not
that's,
NPP.
No,
He's a
that's
technical,
fine. It doesn't matter.
advisor.
He's an NPP person.
He's a technical advisor to the finance minister.
The finance minister made a point. He said, oh, participation. How was that participation? The former Chief Justice, Sophia Akufo, makes this point. He said the DDEP was like a military coup. And that even under military regimes, they respected the rights of citizens. Government basically imposed the DDEP on people, personal bondholders, persons who have saved their money to use in retirement, to buy diabetes drugs, BP drugs, have lost all their money. And you sit here and tell Ghanaians what? Look,
now let's bring in Dr. Gani. Dr. Gani,
what is going on is painful. And you guys, the least you can do is
Dr. Gani, good morning to you.
For this incompetence, not to come and sit on national television and gaslight.
Dr. Gani, good morning.
Made sure that institutions are at work, monies that we got actually have been put to good use, and of course, if we say we borrow to consume, it didn't start with the government of NPP alone. I think it is a canker we must fight as a country. We must ensure that any government that comes in, like my brother said, we must make sure put checks in place so that at the end of the day, expending public money would be actually put right, just as we have done, and then the right things will be done. Thank you.
Where do we go from here?
On Ghana Web now is a story.
That what?
Michael Blankson cries over the impact of Ghana Debt Estate Program on his investment. He continues, Ghana stole my Eurobond investment, set me back financially. Now, within 8 years, this is what Akufo-Addo and Bawumia had done to the image of this country. Complete distraction, no credibility. And you sit here and say, oh, the news people didn't isolate external and internal.
They did not. But
oh, please. First of all, the Eurobond holders includes Ghanaians. There are Ghanaians who bought Eurobond. And so when you say that the impression is being created that it is only the DDEP that impacted on Ghanaians, what are you talking about? And like Prof confirmed my initial claim, Ghanaians and investors have lost 61 billion Ghana cedis in a military style.
Who is that military style?
No negotiation. You woke up one morning and government says this. We have taken your money.
I'm surprised.
And you see the painful part of all of this is that you would expect that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the chair of the economic management team,
what does he
that have destroyed this economy, has the courage to say that he had bold solutions. Today, as we speak, by reason of the distraction of the Ghanaian economy, we are trading $1 for almost 17 Ghana cedis. He is our rep in Saudi. Ask him, when, as a Muslim, has he done Hajj for 75,000 Ghana cedis?
Oh, what is this?
Ask him, when has he done that?
What has that
No, it's because of the economy.
Look, my friend.
It's because of the economy.
Look.
And you see,
look,
I've been campaigning in the Volta region, the coastal areas. Guess what? An outboard motor that used to cost 3,700 Ghana cedis in 2016, today is going for 38,000. Look, the pain and suffering you guys have brought onto Ghanaians It is not a joke. It is not a laughing matter. And you see, I have always maintained that this Akufo-Addo administration is what in our parlance we call Madumaku. You know that?
Madumaku.
Madumaku, Yediewu. Their mindset is let's eat now. There's no tomorrow. Why do I say this? Look, when the visionary John Mahama was leaving office, I will tell you, he left you stabilization fund, $275,000. He left you sinking fund, $250 million.
Mahama visionary.
He left you ESLA. Do you know that ESLA alone?
You called your Mahama visionary.
In 8 years, the energy sector levies alone had given this incompetent, insensitive administration over 30 billion Ghana cedis. What more do you require of a vision than that?
Visionary.
Heritage Fund. Not only that, the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. That is what John Mahama has done. So in conclusion, I beg you, just allow me to conclude. We need to understand one thing. When you go to the University of Ghana, Legon Hall, they have the motto, to whom much is given, much is expected. Only tax revenue.
Credible. A platform and this information in your credible and found for what?
Billion Ghana cedis minus borrowing. So you even let's say that 400 million or billion Ghana cedis, you spent 15 billion of that on free SHS. Where is the rest? You have destroyed Ghana completely.
You see,
And when we raise these fundamental issues, what you do is to demonstrate humility. And like he said, what my brother
demonstrating humility.
Look, what my brother Ganiu came this morning to do is to basically perform the role of a spin doctor.
What do you mean by that? He's a technical advisor to the finance.
He corrected.
When Rome was burning, Emperor Nero was playing. That is the kind of situation that we find. Look, Ghanaian pensioner bondholders are going through more pain. When our vice president, the NPP candidate, gets the opportunity, he dances on stage to rub it in their face, painfully.
Okay.
And when all of this thing is said and done, you sit on national television and say, oh, Akufo-Addo had increased leave. He does leave for you and gives the daughters ambulance contract. Is that what we want? The vice president does this and gives over 200 million Ghana cedis. 200 million Ghana cedis to the brother.
It's not even important.
I am saying that Baumia, the man you speak for, had given 200 million Ghana cedis to the brother through contract.
Madam Cynthia Morrison.
Do you know what it means?
Thank you for staying tuned. PENDREAM TV really appreciates your time. Please, if you have not yet subscribed as a new member, please do so for us. Hit the notification bell for more updates. Like and also share to other members to watch as well. Thank you.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.